My clients gave me only 6 days to build these massive helmets and then surprised me with another intimidating request. Now, before I get into building these helmets, let me start with this request. They asked me if I would create a life-size Rangerette sculpture out of, wait for it, football leather. Now, let me be honest, the football leather was my idea. I love being able to relate the material I use with what I'm actually sculpting. Now, you might be thinking that the actual football leather is the intimidating part, and it is, but it's not as intimidating as the actual human face. And I've mentioned this previously in other videos, it's just so unbelievably hard to sculpt a human face. Even the best sculptors struggle to get it right, and I'm sure Ronaldo and D-Wade would agree with this. Like always, when I do a sculpture like this, I like a 3D reference, and I want to thank Laura here for making this awesome 3D reference for me to go off of. I use the side and front profile templates throughout my entire carving process to make sure the proportions are correct. Like here on the back foot as well as the front side, I actually need to add a little more material. While I work on this, let me tell you about the football helmets. I've been working with Goodyear tires in the Cotton Bowl for the past 8 years, and we've made some pretty cool mascots out of tires. The timeline for these is always crazy short because we don't even know what team is going to be in the Cotton Bowl until the NCAA selects which teams are going to which bowl game. That normally happens on December 7th or 8th, and then the Cotton Bowl is usually before New Year's, which gives me roughly 2 weeks to do 2 complete mascots start to finish. Over the past 8 years, in order to make this happen, I hire a team to basically work around the clock to make sure we finish on time. However, this year is different. This year, the Cotton Bowl is part of the playoffs to get into the national championship, which means there are 2 playoff games, and the winner of those games play in the Cotton Bowl. What this means for me is that I actually don't know who's playing in the Cotton Bowl until 6 days before the actual game. Yeah, you heard that right. 6 days. Because of this, there's going to be no chance I can carve 2 school mascots from start to finish, apply tires, thousands of staples, hide all the staples, do all the painting, all the finish work, all the pedestals. My head would explode, just like this decapitated Rangerette. You get it. It would be impossible. Unless we cheat. Here in the Rangerette carving process, you probably just saw that I carved off too much in the waist area. So here I just used some spray foam and kind of beef this section back up to where the proportion works. Okay, back to what I was saying. What we're gonna do is not do team mascots. Instead, we're gonna be doing massive football helmets that can be built months in advance, and then once we find out which team is in the game, all we have to do is add the team's logos and paint the helmets accordingly. And you may have noticed I have 3 helmets here. Why am I doing 3 helmets if it's just 1 game? Well, I'm also doing the national championship game. You see that huge mistake I made there on the Rangerette's boot? I cut off way too much material, but luckily, when working with foam, all you need to do is add some more foam. Once the boots are pretty much done and the Rangerette is almost proportionally there, there's still, a lot I gotta trim down and kind of finesse over the next couple days, but right now it's time to start on the dreaded face and head. And I'm just gonna let you guys sit back and watch me struggle through this because this was extremely difficult. I think it's looking okay. I'm not gonna say it's good, I'm not gonna say it's terrible, but one thing for certain, the neck is definitely too long, so let me go ahead and trim that down. I swear,
I'm not a serial killer.
Now, I'm not sure if anyone's counting or anything, but this is the second time I've decapitated this Rangerette. I had the brilliant idea of making the details of the face out of this 2-part epoxy clay, and I could not have been more wrong. This stuff is terrible to work with. It's so sticky that it ends up sticking to your fingers more than what you're actually trying to sculpt. It says add water, I added water, it didn't do anything. I basically just had to scrape this all off as best I could. And once that was all off, it's time to try and carve out this Rangerette's hair out of spray foam. But before we get into that disaster, let's shift gears and get to these football helmets. Since I needed 3 of the exact same sculptures, it was much faster for me to get them made with a 5-axis CNC machine from Monster City Studios. This wasn't cheap by any means, but it saved me about a month of work which I spent on the Rangerette carving, and these helmets turned out great. They used a polyurethane hardcoat finish which makes these super durable. While these were being machined, I built these pedestals off camera and then welded up a big piece of metal to be the center support for the helmet. I wanted the helmets to be hovering above the pedestals to make them around eye level. The higher it is, the bigger they appear, and these are big helmets to begin with, but I want to make them appear even larger than they really are. Now let's talk about what teams I may have and what challenges might come my way. Texas, Tennessee, and Clemson all have simple and straightforward helmet designs. Where things could get tricky is Ohio State, ASU, and Oregon. Ohio State has these accolade stickers which are different for every player, so not sure what I would do if they make it. ASU has a really intricate logo which would be hard to make using tires, and Oregon has about 20 different helmets and jerseys that they rotate every single game, so I don't even know how I would pick which helmet to even use. So there's nothing I can really do but just sit back and watch these games. And a lot of people ask if I root for a specific team, and the truth is, I don't really root for anybody. I just like watching really good football games.
That is not a foul! Go! Let's go, Tennessee! Woo!
Well, sometimes I just slip and root for a team that has an easier helmet. It's not my fault Ohio State uses complicated helmet stickers. Okay, we should get back to these sculptures. I sent a helmet to my friend and fellow sculptor extraordinaire Kara Walker, who heat bent PVC pipe into these amazing face masks. She did an outstanding job, and they look so realistic like solid metal. Now the only thing left to do is get inside one of these for a great thumbnail opportunity. Alright, we should get back to the Rangerette. I'm adding a disastrous amount of spray foam and plan to carve it down into a nice hairstyle. I have no idea if this is the best way of attempting this, but at this point, I'm just kind of winging it, and if I make a mistake, I could always just carve it off. I'm not gonna lie, this thing looks terrible right now, but the only thing I could do is keep pushing forward and give her a haircut that hopefully Edward would approve of. Okay, I'm not even done with the hair, but I'm just looking at the side profile of this Rangerette, and I noticed that this leg is way too far behind the body, like it doesn't make sense proportionally. So I'm gonna go ahead and just snap off her leg and relocate it, and now you can see that it's more lined up in the center of her body, which obviously makes a little more sense. Now I'm going to try to add a little more detail to her face using this clay, and I'm basically just compiling mistakes at this point. You see, this is an oil-based clay, and in my next step I'm going to be using some joint compound you see here, and the problem with this is it will not cure on top of an oil-based clay. So everything I'm doing here, I'm going to basically have to take off and redo. I ended up spending around half the day reworking this face, and I'm much happier with how it looks now, but for now it's time to switch gears and just try to do something else to take my mind off all this, and I'm going to be starting some steel armature to make sure that this thing is nice and sturdy. I think it's crucial for me that I'm able to work on different parts of the sculpture during the day. When I get frustrated or overwhelmed by certain parts, like the face just a minute ago, I've learned to just switch gears and start working on something less attention demanding, parts like this steel armature. I really think this works to my benefit as long as tomorrow or the next day or sometime really soon, my mind is right to tackle that difficult task. I'm adding this thickened joint compound to the entire sculpture to give it some rigidity but also some smoothness. This will all be sanded down to create a really smooth finish before applying the hard coat. And now that the Rangerette is fully coated, it's time to sand her down, and then you may have noticed she's missing two very important things. We'll get to why I left out these hands, but for now, let's go back to the helmets. The client insisted that I use one car tire for each sculpture. If you guys don't know already, I use bicycle tires on all of my tire sculptures, and I do that because this is how difficult it is to cut through one car tire. Car tires are all steel reinforced, and the only way to really cut through that is with an angle grinder, but the problem with using an angle grinder is it will burn and melt the rubber. So now I have this smoke just getting blasted in my face during this entire process. It's not fun, but you know what? We gotta make the client happy and make sure they love these sculptures. Once the big car tire is on, it's time to start my usual tire cutting process, which involves hours upon hours of hand cutting these tires. And by the end of the day, it's common for my forearms to be absolutely shot and my hands to start cramping. And that's why I'm excited to be teaming up with Element, the sponsor of this video. Element is a zero-sugar electrolyte drink mix born from new research that suggests optimal health occurs at sodium levels 2 to 3 times above government recommendations. In short, this drink's helped me stay hydrated for longer so I can work to get these sculptures finished in this short time frame. They also just released this brand new chocolate melody pack, and let me tell you, it is a game changer for your morning coffee.
Cheers.
Get a free Element sample pack today with any purchase when you use my link drinkelement.com/bmsculptures. The sample pack has one of every flavor so you can try them all out, and if you don't like it, it's a risk-free, give it away to a salty friend, and Element will give you your money back, no questions asked. That's drinkelement.com/bmsculptures, or click the link below to get a free sample pack with any purchase. Thanks, Element. And just like that, we have our first football helmet covered in tires and only 2 more left to do. It looks kind of funny right now, but I do like the patterning of tires that I chose, and I think once the logos go on of the teams, it's really going to make it pop, and obviously all of this needs to be painted team colors as well. Once I add the mask, this helmet really starts to come together, and I think it's only going to get better because I'm also going to add a front visor shield to it, hoping to make it blacked out so you actually won't even be able to see inside that helmet. I'm really excited to add that and get this helmet looking complete. Now we're going to do some movie magic here. We are going to fast forward 2 weeks ahead, and luckily my brother is in town. He's helping me lift these really heavy tire helmets up on these little pedestals so I can paint them. But before I do that, let's head back to the Rangerette because I have 2 hands we need to make. And luckily I have a trick up my sleeve and a secret weapon. This is my wife here, and we are going to cast her hands so I don't have to spend a week carving 2 hands. And we're doing this, I'm just going to mix up some alginate, and we're going to throw her hands in there and cast her hands for this Rangerette. Don't worry, I fed her before putting her in there, and it was only a couple hours. She was fine. I gotta give my wife a hand for being a good sport. Oh wait, a hand. Dang it. No, but really, she's hands down the best wife I've ever had, so give her a thumbs up or a high five because she's helped me out on these builds a handful of times. Let's just say, she comes in handy. Anyways, the hands are looking really good. I just need to kind of trim down the arms a little bit, and I do all this off camera, and then I also apply this styroplast, which is like a thick urethane plastic coating. This gives the strength and rigidity to this sculpture. And then finally, after a month of hard work sculpting out this Rangerette, it's time to add the football leather. You might be thinking this football leather idea just came out of nowhere, but truth is, I have 2 other sculptures I've made out of basketball leather, which is basically the same material. This is Buckley here. I made him in 2017 for the Milwaukee Bucks, and I used thousands of shreds of basketball leather, and I hand dyed each one to get this little color variation you see. And then only a couple years ago, I made this rooted in Oakland wall relief sculpture, also out of basketball leather, and both these sculptures are located in their respective arenas, so if you're there and you see them, be sure to take a picture and send it my way. I'd love to see updated pictures of my sculptures. As I'm adding the hair, I actually don't bring it all the way up to the top because I'm going to be adding a hat, and I just have one thing constantly on my mind. I just made a sculpture of my childhood hero.
You know, the python's already the largest arms in the world.
And that's probably not the best thing to represent in the sculpture like this, but luckily I have a hat that's going on, so this kind of crusty old bald head of this Rangerette is going to be completely covered up, and this is all part of the plan. And speaking of plans, something crazy happened that was definitely not part of our plan. I teamed up with my amazingly talented friend Jess to make the hat, and this is what happened when she brought it into the sunlight. Turns out, the company I ordered the leather from sent me a special UV color changing leather instead of the plain white, and we're just lucky that we were able to find this out before putting it on the finished sculpture and sending it to Dallas, because that could have been an absolute disaster. We eventually got the right leather and just made a completely new hat, and it turned out great. And now the only thing I have left to do is struggle with this face. But before I get into that, let's get back over to the helmets and let's start working on these face shield visors. I ended up testing a couple different options on how to make this visor best, and I'm actually painting the back side of these visors, and then I peel off the front side and I get that glossy transparent look that'll be perfect for these visors. And now the last thing I can do before knowing which team is actually in the game is I'm going to be priming all these helmets white. That way when I go over with the team color, it'll be as vibrant as possible. I am in full panic mode right now. It's been a couple days since I primed these helmets, and I went to go take a look at them, and we have a full-on yellowing of the main tire tread. There's actual oil you can see seeping through this paint, and I have no clue what to do at this point. So I frantically searched online, and I came up with two possible solutions. I'm going to first use this Total Boat Halcyon clear coat, and what I'm hoping this does is just seal in everything so that nothing can seep through. And secondly, I found out that this bin primer is supposed to be way better at sealing in stains than that other brand I was using. And right away I could already tell that this brand of paint is working different than that other one. But only time will tell, so let's wait a couple days, and while we wait, let's head back to the Rangerette. This has got to be one of the hardest sculptures I've ever done. I keep adding on layers, taking off layers, trying new things, and I just can't seem to get this face right. So I did the only thing I knew I could do. I grabbed my daughter, wife, and mom and headed to the eyelash store. I had no idea there was a place like this, and this is just blowing me away, to be honest. This is a little outside my element, but after much discussion with all three of them, they all said that my Rangerette was missing some eyelashes, so my crafty mom helped me out, put them together, and we had everybody giving their input on this Rangerette and what we should do to make this face look better. Even my dad was here in the background taking pictures of all the commotion. I gotta give it to him. These eyelashes make the eyes look a lot better, but I'm still not happy with the face, so I ripped it up about 2 or 3 more times. Wow, that sounds a little weird. I ripped up the face. I did rip up her. That just sounds weird. I redid her face 2 or 3 more times until I was satisfied, and then I decided to tone down her hair and paint it a little more muted yellow and make it slightly more realistic looking. All said and done, I spent probably another 3 to 4 days on this, just redoing things, and I'm really glad I did because I think it looks so much better than it did initially. And now the only thing left to do is make a pedestal, paint it white, put on the plaque, do a clear coat on the entire Rangerette, and we are done. All right, so we've already had our first round of playoffs, and Texas beat Clemson, and then unfortunately Ohio State crushed Tennessee. And today's the big day. We have 2 games, and the winners of each will be in the Cotton Bowl. We have Texas versus ASU, and we have Ohio State versus Oregon. And like I said previously, I just want to have some good games here and watch some good football. And good football games we had. Texas beat ASU in one of the best college football games of all time. And then Ohio State put a whooping on Oregon, and as soon as these games were finished, I jumped right to work. I'm going to start Texas first because it's a little bit of a simpler design than Ohio State with all those stickers, so I'm just going to paint the whole thing its finishing white color and then get to doing the logos and lettering. Once I was done painting the tires and lettering, it was time to move the helmet onto the finishing stand, and things got a little sketchy, but luckily we got it on there safely, and thank you, Michael, for the help. All right, we gotta go for it. You ready?
Yeah.
Woo! Okay. Oh, man, that's stressful. Once the helmet's on the pedestal, it's really starting to come to life. All we got to do now is get on the face mask and visor and then start putting on some logos. Time frame wise, there's very little wiggle room. I basically need to finish each helmet in only 2 days. So these next couple days are going to be a long one, and I still need to do a full crate for both of these. And it's most likely going to take me a full day to crate these. And just like that, I am pretty much done here with this Texas helmet, and now all that's left to do is start Ohio State. Good old Ohio State with their hundreds of stickers. I'll start out their helmet by just painting everything gray, and then I'll come back with actually a metallic silver spray paint just to get that kind of highlight shimmeriness that is in Ohio State's helmet. And this paint really makes this helmet pop, but even more so the face mask. It looks so much like metal. I've had a couple neighbors come by and everyone thinks this is actually made of metal. So Kara, fantastic work. This could pass for metal on pretty much anyone who's seen it so far. And then once the gray is pretty much dry, I go ahead and start the striping. It's gonna have red, black, and white stripes down the helmet, and my biggest concern here is just the tape not pulling off all this paint, because I'm working so quick here that I just cannot allow a full cure time on any of these paints. I simply don't have time to do that. And then finally, once everything's painted, it's time to start adding these Buckeye stickers. And I cut all this out with my laser, and then I'm just gonna paint them their colors, put on the white tires, and hopefully they look just like the stickers. Now these stickers are really interesting. From what I understand, players get stickers if they make a big play during the game. So you'll see some players have a ton of stickers, some players don't have any stickers. Some players have them on the left side, right side, both sides. We don't know. They're all over the place. I don't know who decides where they go on the helmet, but I do know that after talking to the clients, we decided we're gonna put them all on the left side of this helmet. So if you are an unfortunate person that roots for the Ohio State Buckeyes and know how these stickers are placed, let me know down in the comments, because I truly am interested in how they put those stickers on. All right, guys, these helmets are almost done. I'm gonna give them a clear coat of Total Boat Halcyon, and this is gonna make these things pop. And then it's time to crate these things up. And normally I don't show you the crating process, but this is a big part of this short time frame. So I thought it's important to show you guys kind of how I do it. And this takes a full day. You could even watch as the sun sets on us right here. I mean, check out this view. And I didn't notice this until I was editing this video, but I zoomed in on Little Man and watched the dude just get after it. And I don't know about you guys, but I would pay big money to watch Little Man duke it out with this lady on the corner. Let's make it happen. We worked late into the night to get these crates finished because these things are shipping out first thing in the morning, and thank you, Alex, for helping out. This could not have been done without you, so appreciate it, buddy. And just like that, the crates are safely on the truck and they are on their way to Texas. And now the only thing left to do is sit back and relax, because in just 4 days I get to do this entire thing over again for the winner of the Orange Bowl. These few days off just make me want to dance. All right, guys, we are minutes away from the Orange Bowl starting, and then as soon as that game's done, we're actually gonna start on that third helmet. Before we do that, I wanna show you guys the finished Rangerette sculpture, and I gotta be honest, I feel a little bit weird about this sculpture. It's not my favorite sculpture I've ever done. It's not from lack of trying. I actually put in 2 full months on this Rangerette. I did everything I possibly could to make it as good as possible. Man, people are hard to do. Faces are so difficult, and then you throw in the football leather on top of that. It makes this an extremely challenging sculpture. The only thing that really matters is the client is happy. It's on its way to Dallas. It should be there any day now. And excited to see what you guys think and then what the fans think in person. So anyways, just got to get that off my chest. And here it is, the finished Rangerette. Let me know what you guys think about that Rangerette sculpture. Let's get to the Orange Bowl. And again, I really don't care who wins. I like Notre Dame and Penn State. I just want to see a good football game. Come on, Notre Dame. Come on, get it.
Whoa! Oh!
That guy has a problem. That's just embarrassing. Anywho, Notre Dame ended up beating Penn State, so I'm immediately starting on the Notre Dame helmet, and honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better matchup. Both these helmets are super simple, and when we talk about Notre Dame, it is probably the simplest helmet we could get out of every college team. I literally don't know a single college that has an easier helmet to make. With that being said, Notre Dame does have like a patented gold that is basically not replicated, but luckily my longtime channel supporter Total Boat, who you've seen me use numerous products throughout this build, has a perfect gold that matches the Notre Dame helmet. So thank you, Total Boat, and if you guys are interested in a discount, there is a link in my description to all of the Total Boat products. As I'm working on this Notre Dame helmet, it is also the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, and they've already unveiled the sculptures. I've already seen the fans interacting. They set up a little photo booth so fans could take pictures next to the helmets. It's super cool and rewarding for me to see these sculptures in front of so many people, and I also can't wait to see what you guys think of them. So without further ado, here are the finished sculptures for Ohio State and Texas. That was pretty cool for me to see. One of my favorite things as an artist is for people to see my sculptures for the first time, and it's just such a rewarding experience to see people having fun and smiling and even wanting to take pictures with something that I built out of my little garage. I am so lucky and fortunate to be put into this situation, and I can't thank Goodyear and the Cotton Bowl enough for giving me this opportunity. You know, sometimes I have to pinch myself just to make sure this life's real. Not only am I thankful for the clients that appreciate my art, but I'm thankful for people like you that enjoy my videos. You guys watching right now are a huge part of the reason why I'm able to do this for a living, and I can't thank you guys enough. And I want to say it again. Thank you guys so much for just enjoying these videos and enjoying my work and watching the process, because without you guys, I would not be standing here right now, and who knows what I'd be doing, but I am so fortunate that I'm doing this. So without further ado, the finished Notre Dame helmet, who will be at the national championship game in Georgia with Ohio State. Here it is. If you guys like this video, YouTube also thinks you're gonna like these two videos of mine, so check them out.